Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Infinite Crypto Cruisers. It is Tuesday, March 3rd already. Hope you are all doing fantastic. I know for a long time it feels like I've been telling you guys that every stream is going to be a short one, but today is probably going to be a little bit on the shorter side. If I was doing, 4 or 5 live streams a week, I probably wouldn't have done this one. But after missing yesterday, I just wasn't comfortable missing the whole week by not being here today. Um, Man, I don't want to air out too much of my dirty laundry. It's sometimes I'm told that I'm just way too transparent online, but just been another rough couple of days. Had another situation come up with my dogs, and this time, unfortunately, our littlest dog, a little Chihuahua, um, got got ended up put into the animal hospital, and it was very touch and go. I didn't think that he was going to make it. Um, Happened at about 9 o'clock on Sunday night, and I literally stayed up with him until about 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning to make sure that he didn't die from shock. And yesterday was a day of appointments and just all sorts of craziness. And so if I'm being really truly transparent with you guys, this is kind of, I wouldn't say this is the last place that I want to be, but my mind is just so many other places that I don't know how much value I can actually give you guys today. I haven't really spent 2 minutes really looking at the market, trying to figure out what is going to be happening. So, on that note, I do have my BYD5 page pulled up here. Come on, dog. Don't be moving my camera. My dog's got my camera all helter skelter, and I can't even get mad at her because she's pregnant. She's a pregnant, and so it is what it is. Yeah, she's got me messed up. You can see the top of my computer screen because she's got it pushed back. Oh well. So, anyways, on that note, Bitcoin went all the way up to, as far as I could tell, I could have swore I saw it on my BYDFi account yesterday, where it touched 71,000. CoinGecko's telling me that it was only up to 69,471 in the last 24 hours. I think that that's slightly low, but I could be wrong. But whatever it was, whether it was 69.4 or 71, it has dipped back down into the 67s. And so the trades that I had in play last week are nothing much to write home about. The $100 V chain trade is down 62%. And it was only a 5x trade. So had it been a 10x trade, it would have been liquidated a long time ago. But it's all the way down at 00711, 00707. And who knows, man? VeChain could be dipping into the 006s here fairly soon. Because of my extra USDT here, my Avalanche trade is still, hanging in there. Market price of $9.15, but the liquidation price is all the way down at $5.80. So that is pretty safe. To be honest, I'd really love to use this $250 for some other stuff, but it's most likely, I'm pretty sure that it's collateralizing this Avalanche loan, and that if for any reason I were to touch that and try to transfer it out of my account, this Avalanche trade would just immediately get liquidated. So can't touch that. Yeah, Paul, I'm telling you, this last month has been month and a half. My wife yells out, has been, absolutely horrific, and just so many different reasons. Probably the least of which is the finances. But at the same time, that's also pretty incredibly miserable when you're going through, some tough times. I had one income stream dry up on me temporarily. I had an income stream that was bringing in, multiple thousands of dollars a week that overnight went to zero while they were I can't talk, while they are dealing with some legal situations. It's kind of like when Ripple Ripple had its fight with the SEC. That's what's going on with this other company right now. I'm not too worried about it. I think that long term, it's still going to be a fantastic opportunity, and I'm going to be glad that I was a part of it. But went from $2,000-3,000 a week on the low side to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 on the high side to zero almost overnight, and that was probably right about 2 months ago. So right about the time that all of that income dried up, then all of this stuff hit us. So the dog that we took to the vet yesterday is still there. Had to stay overnight. We're going to be picking him up this afternoon, but it was like another $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 vet bill to go along with the cat that we saved about a month and a half ago. That cat's first vet bill was about $1,500, $1,600. And then on the plus side, we got our pregnant Belgian Malinois that's been into the vet a couple of times, and it's always like a couple $100 bill to have her checked out. So, literally in just over the last 30 days, we've spent over $4,000 at the vet. And I guess, on one hand, we went years without having any vet bills for the most part. Our dogs and cats were so healthy, and we hadn't taken some of our pets to the vet for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. So compared to people that take their pets to the veterinarian 2, 3 times a year for just routine checkups and stuff, we've kind of never done that. We've always just taken our pets in if there's an emergency. We probably haven't spent any more money than those people have, but it just, when it's condensed down into such a short time frame, it can definitely be a pain. But like I say, that's the least of it. I mean, we got the animals that were hurt, one of which passed away. So we've got one cat passed away. We've got one cat that's right about on the verge of being back to absolutely perfect, and now we've got this situation with my littlest dog that's gonna take him a few weeks to heal up. So yeah, man, it's been interesting. And then still I'm doing the best that I can to try to find a home for these other 2 dogs. I mean, if I was on the outside listening in, I would probably judge me. I'd probably be like, what in the world? How have these dogs been around long enough to hurt 3 different animals? And that's fair. That's fair. If you want to, say, hey, I mean, I'm a big proponent of the saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So I do feel a huge burden of responsibility for the fact that these dogs were still here to, kill a cat on their second attack and then to attack the dog. But, I guess, not knowing is not an excuse, but the dogs had never been any aggressiveness towards other dogs. And so we've been doing an incredible job of keeping them in their crates and keeping them separated from the cats while we were figuring out what the next step was going to be. And all of a sudden, man, just out of the blue, totally just for no reason, they just snapped in half a second out in our front yard. All of the dogs were just out playing in the front yard. They all kind of ran up onto the porch when I came outside to let them in. And then all of a sudden, I mean, I gazed off out into the, to look kind of out into the skyline and just kind of take in the view. And a split second later, my 2 boxer pits were attacking the little Chihuahua. And it's probably somewhat amazing that we were able to save his life. We did. It came at a price. I can't show you everything, but both of my knees are all skinned up. My feet are all skinned up. I was wearing slip-on shoes. My shoes fell off. I'm out in a yard that's got a bunch of gravel and rocks in it, and I ended up getting a hold of the biggest pit boxer. The male is probably 70 or 80 pounds of just pure muscle, and ended up on the ground, and my knees all skinned up, my feet all skinned up. I got my finger in the way of one of them, and got a little bit of something that I've taken care of here. Anyways, you guys, I mean, I didn't really want to go through the whole bloody story, but man. So now, once again, like I say, on top of that, we've got a cat that we love dearly that's terrified of the dogs. We've got a cat that passed away, and now we've got the Chihuahua that's gonna make it. But like, there's absolutely zero, zero, zero choice in the matter at this point. We're either giving the two dogs away or we're having them humanely euthanized. And the trouble with giving them away is that we're afraid that whoever takes them could end up with some problems. It would have to be a home that's got no cats, no other animals, period, really, at this point, because while they picked on the littlest dog, we don't think they would probably go after our boxer lab that's the same size, and our Malinois that's even slightly bigger than them. You never know. You never know. And so, and then what's next? We've got a little over a 1-year-old granddaughter running around here at times. And, those two dogs, if something set them off and those two dogs decided to, go after her like they did one of the cats, I mean, it's not even fathomable to think that if about what it would be like if something like that happened. So anyways, on that note, guys, like I say, I'm not really in the right mindset to be here today, and I used up most of the time that I was going to take doing market update, just talking about the situation. But when it comes to trading, I would just tell you, don't do it. That's probably like either one of these trades. If they were a couple of times the V-chain trade started heading in the positive direction, I thought, man, if this thing gets anywhere near back up to even, I'm probably just gonna close it out. But same thing, the avalanche trade, I'm not in the mood to start up any new trades, and so not a whole lot on that point. I will go over here and tell you guys, this is probably the most exciting project that I've been a part of for a long time. I showed you guys last week my account. You probably can't see it great here, but I had $1,131 in this account, and now today live, I've got $1,451 in this account. It's building nicely. That's not just from my deposits. I've been sharing this with a lot of people, so I've had a lot of people that have jumped in. You can see here that I've shared this with 19 people. Those 19 have gone out, and there's now 78 people that are a part of this platform, and it kind of started with me. So I do make it smaller. It's smaller transactions. It's not great, big, huge, $1,000 commissions, $2,000, $3,000 commissions like I was making with the other platform. But I wake up just about every single day, and there's another $15, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70 in my account because of all of the people that are utilizing the platform. Mr. Pablo Noodles is one of them. He got in and deposited a few dollars last week, but already we're looking at it. Been a pretty good couple of weeks. We can go into our back office and see the actual trades. So if I click over here, we can see the profits already this week are at 2.67%. So it started off pretty good. Profit for the last 30 days has been 17%. So, once again, guys, you're not going to get rich overnight with this project. But on average, if I compound all of my weekly earnings, I will double my money. We figured it out, depending on how well it goes, because every month is slightly different. This is real trading. So it's not like, hey, you're going to earn 1% a day. Like, there's no guarantees. You could lose money. So far, we've never had a losing week, but it's not impossible that we could have a losing week. The software has had losing days, but it's never had a losing week. But there's been some months where it's been as low as 9% for that month. There's been some months where it's been 39%. It's averaged about 22% a month over the last 19 going on 20 months. So if you were to compound your funds, we've got it figured out that you would double your money roughly every 5 months. So you can take a relatively small amount of money. Like if you do the math yourself, if you take 10 grand, it turns into 20 in 5 months. And that's going to turn into 40 in 10 months. And you can kind of see here, if you look at the last year, 514%. That's compounded. So if you take 10,000, turn it into 20, and then that 20 turns into 40, and then you've got 2 more months left, you can see where your 40,000 would turn into, say, around 50,000 over the next couple of months. My point is, slow and steady wins the race. Even if you start off with 1,000, you go from 1,000 to 2,000, from 2,000 to 4,000, from 4,000 to 8,000. Now you're looking at, that would be 15 months, and you're at 8,000. From 8,000 to 16,000 in 20 months, from 16,000 to 32,000 in 25 months, and then from 32,000 to 64,000 in 30 months, I think it is at that point. So in 2 or 3 years, you could take a relatively small amount of money and turn it into a massive amount of money. Like if you go 10,000 to 20,000, 20 to 40, 40 to 80, that's 15 months. 80 to 160 is 20 months. 160 to 320 is 25 months. And then 320 to 640 would be 30 months. So in just under a year, if somebody threw 10 grand into this platform, and it continued to perform like it has for the last couple of years, and you just compounded your money. I mean, I'm not here. This isn't financial advice. I'm not telling you that it's guaranteed that you would turn 10 grand into 640,000 or 620,000, but I am telling you that it's possible. Now, I would take slightly longer to do than that, because I would be pulling some of my 10 grand out. I would be getting myself in a position where, as the profits were coming in, I was pulling a portion out. So I would get to the point where my 10 grand was back in my pocket. And then, I would go to work on compounding. But the nice thing about this too is, like I said, with the referrals, you can compound your referral earnings too. So if you go here and kind of see this a little small, but you can see, license reward, $10, added to trading, $10.91. So I had a little bit of a commission come in, $10. I added it to the platform. License rewards here on February 28th, $49. And then I had been letting it build up a little bit. I had a $22.50 in license rewards. Long story short, I added $82 to the platform here. So all of this green, some of it is my weekly earnings, but most of all of this green is it's because of the 79 people here, 78 people here that are part of the team and part of what we're doing here. So I don't want to talk too much about that, but I've mentioned it a couple of times on the most recent live streams. So if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Telegram, make a comment on this YouTube video, and I'll get back in touch with you. I got a couple of recorded videos that you can watch that show you a little bit more about how this all works and how you can throw a few dollars at it. I will preface all of this with, this is a super important one. Don't throw a bunch of money at this thing that you can't afford to lose. From what I've seen, guys, I mean, you know me pretty well. I definitely recommend a lot of different things, but when it comes to this type of a investing platform, this is the only one that I believe I've ever shared with you guys as a community. So I was talking to one of my good friends, Bill Volpentist, who's already got over 10,000 in the platform, and he was sharing this with one of his bankers, and his bankers was like, "Man, that's impossible, and it sounds like a Ponzi this and Ponzi that, and blah blah blah." Super super negative. Kind of freaked Bill out, and Bill came and asked me, and I told Bill, I said, "Hey, your banker is right most of the time. Like I get shared on average probably a couple, two or three of these a week that are kind of like this, where you put you put your money in, and the AI trading algorithm helps it grow. There's AI bots this, there's AI bots that. I get shown two or three of those a week, and I'm pretty sure if you guys go back and look at the last 4 or 5 years, this is the only one that I've ever shared to you guys as my community, and because this is the only one that's ever proven to me that it's actual legitimate trades. 99% of these platforms take your money, and then they use that money to pay somebody that joined the platform, a week, a month, 2 months before you. And then they take the next person's money and the next person's money to pay you, and the next person and the next person and the next person to pay everybody. And basically, the first 5, 10,000, 15, 20,000 people get paid because there's a bunch of people still jumping into the program. And then at some point in time, it slows down. It just has to. It's a lot easier for it to go from 5,000 people to 10,000 people than it is for it to go from 1 million people to 2 million people. So it starts to slow down, and then they run off with all of the way. So they got this massive last wave of money. They've got 100,000 people, but they already got 1 million people involved. So they get 100,000 new people, which is nowhere near enough money to pay the 1 million people that's already in. But that $100,000 times, 1,000, 15, 2,000, 5,000, $10,000 per person is millions and millions and millions of dollars that they walk away with. Not to mention, they've got things, withdrawal fees and a bunch of stuff baked into the program, so that they're making money all the way along the way too. So these scammers that are out there that put these things together that are fake are making millions and millions and millions of dollars. So long story short, I don't blame that doctor for being skeptical, but I'm just here to tell you that I've done the research, and I've seen the Binance account. I've had the opportunity to be on Zooms with Felix Bick, the owner and the founder of this company, and the one that put together the trading algorithm and the software that actually is making us the money. And so I'm pretty confident in putting my own funds into this, and then sharing this with as many people as I can. And my goal, I would like to get this up at about $100,000. The performance fees, they get 20%, I get 80%. So at $100,000, if we just do a even 20% month, 20% of 100 grand is 16,000, or excuse me, 20% of 100 grand is 20 grand. And then my 80% of that 20,000 would be 16 grand. Love you, son. So at $100,000 account here, I would be able to have a $16,000 a month lifestyle. We've been talking a lot on this channel about 2026 being the year of passive income. So how much would I need to get to 5 grand? Well, I mean, do the math on 25,000. The profit split is 75-25. So what's 20% of 25 grand? 10 grand or 5 grand, excuse me. 10% of 25,000 would be 20. Yeah. So 5 grand would be 25 grand, but I would only be getting 75% of that. So that's $3,750. So what about 60? So 60,000 would be times 20% would be 6,000, or no, wait, I don't want to jump from 25 to 60. I was trying to say at 30 grand. 30,000 would be 6 grand. 75% of 6 grand is pretty close to $5,000, right? I can't even do the math. 4,500 would be 75%. So at about 30,000 in my active trading account here, I will have created about a $5,000 a month passive income. And really, by the time I get my $30,000 built up in this account, I'll probably be making $5,000 a month from the residuals, because for every one of these 79 people, 78 people, I get a residual. So if Joshua Tree here, say my son, say he makes, 25 bucks in a week, I get 10% of that, which is $2.50. That doesn't sound like much, but start, adding up $2.50 times, 75 people, 100 people, 500 people, and it can turn into a pretty massive income stream, fairly quickly. So anyways, I'm done talking about that for today. I'm going to go get a little coffee, get ready to pick up my dog Murdoch from the vet. Fingers crossed. You just never know. The doctor's very confident that he's going to be fine, that they're going to be able to get everything fixed. But, till he's home safe in my arms, there's still some anxiety there and some hoping that nothing goes wrong, that he can handle being, under the anesthesia, and that he comes out of the, the operations and whatever they're doing to him safe and sound. So I'm going to get rolling. But if any of you that have been watching today want some more information about this company, want to help get signed up, last thing I'll say is a lot of these companies that are built like this, a lot of times they want $25, $50, $100,000 minimum deposits too. They don't want to mess with people that only have 100 here, 100 there. This company wants to help the little guys. So the minimum deposit is literally $100. You can jump in and get started. I mean, that's what my son did. I mean, I don't know if you can see here, but my son didn't throw $1 million in here. My son's got, $100, and my son referred one person, his best friend so far. There's other people that have a little bit bigger amounts. I've got a couple of guys that are sitting on, 8 to 10,000, but there's a lot of folks that, you can jump in this thing for $100 and watch it grow and get more comfortable with it, and, really see what I'm seeing yourself. I mean, I'm showing you the back office as well as I can here, being pretty transparent. Like I say, this is the trading details. This is not very big here, but like these are live trades that are just happening. So this ETH trade just happened at 10:35. It opened at 1961.23. It closed at 1961.56. Here you go. Here's a bunch of losers. All of these trades in the red lost, but then they're green. But literally, one of the things, I'm curious if I can see this. See if I click on this view details here, and then go to the week here. It's not showing it here, but I was looking at something. Let me see if I can. Anyways, this thing trades 25, 50,000 times a day. So you'll see this feed all day long. It's just super, super fast because it buys in. Like here, it bought in at 67,851.44, and it sold. Come on, it sold at 67,851. So this jumped up, from 67,840 to 67,851. But it literally is in minutes or seconds. Most of the time, these trades happen in milliseconds. It's literally trading 25 plus thousand times a day. But like I said, I got excited when I started doing the math and started realizing what this would look like if I compounded it, if I was willing to give it a couple of years to grow. Obviously, when it gets up to several $1,000s a month, I'm going to be pulling out money for life. I'm not going to just let this thing, I'm not be like, okay, I'm going to let this thing grow to millions of dollars and then pull it all out at once. Of course, I'm going to be smart and be pulling out some funds along the way. But even this, I swear this just changed from like 0.3 cents to 31 cents while we were talking. Let's go take a quick peek here. Yeah, look at that, guys. Literally, well, maybe it wasn't while we were talking, but this could have been because it's on a different time zone. we literally, we just made 30 cents in license rewards. Somebody deposited some form of funds. One of those 78 people deposited some money onto the platform and put it into their trading account. So I enjoy that part. Like, I'll come back and look at this number. Now it's at 31 cents here. I'll come back in a couple hours and see, and it's kind of fun. All of a sudden this is $4 or $5, and then I get to go look kind of through my tree and see, oh, okay, it was Jerry threw in, another $100 or whatever. It's kind of fun though to watch this number on the balance side go up every single day. And then, like I said, once it gets up to 4, 5, 10, 15, $20, I move it over to my trading account. I compound all of my earnings into my trading account. And so with that, guys, hope you're all having a fantastic day. Mr. Dave P., thank you for showing up, man. I hope you are doing fantastic, brother. Mr. Vanish, I didn't catch you first thing, man. Thank you for being here first and for always being here. All of you guys are, here every single chance you get, and I appreciate you. So with that, man, have a fantastic rest of your day. We are going to call it a day, sign off for today, and we will see you again very soon. God bless. Love you all. And keep you in my prayers. You keep me in yours. Please pray that little Murdoch, my doggy, comes home safe and sound today. Would appreciate that very much. Love you all. Bye-bye for now.